A huge victory for Suella Braverman over the illegal migration bill as the House of Lords have now been defeated. Yes, we're going to talk about what happened last night in both the House of Commons and the House of Lords. Absolute chaos. And of course, we're going to give you the latest on this barge that's approaching Dorset. So let's talk about what happened last night. So the government and Suella Braverman decided to push for this to happen, and they wanted to get it done before Friday, which is basically the beginning of the summer recess. And so they decided to get all the MPs to debate and vote for hours and hours and hours. You had initially the House of Lords, all the leftists putting on a number of amendments that was going to water down the whole bill. It was going to be completely impossible to actually even call it an illegal migration bill. And we've been criticizing all sides on this in Parliament. But last night, they managed to get all the Conservative MPs to be present, and the 9 major Lords amendments were rejected in the House of Commons. So that was good news for Suella and, of course, the government as a whole. And then they sent it back to the House of Lords because, of course, the House of Lords have limitations when it comes to this ping pong that we always talk about, so they can't completely reject the bill. And in the House of Lords, they also managed to whip around and get all the slightly, obviously, more conservative peers to make sure that the 5 amendments that the House of Lords were going to be adding again were voted down. And that also happened. So this was a huge victory last night for Team Suella and the government in general. So in as a whole, what we had a big problem over the last few weeks with this ping pong nonsense. And we know that Boris Johnson is adding a number of new Conservative peers to the House of Lords. But the fear that we now have is, of course, Rishi Sunak is eventually going to leave. And a lot of the people who supported Rishi Sunak, they might be Tory, they're a little bit wet. So the House of Lords is still not really in a good state when it comes to basic conservatism. Because you still have the majority left-wing peers, but that's for a different day. Now, one amendment on child refugees was voted down with a tiny majority of just 7 votes. 7. Speaking in the debate in the House of Commons, the Immigration Minister, Robert Jenrick, said it is time for the clear view of the elected House to prevail. So it is quite impressive. As I said, considering that the Lords, the majority of them are leftists. So this whipping operation, for once, actually worked. Now, I can assure you that Theresa May is probably quite envious of this opportunity that the current government had to make sure they get all their members to come and vote with the government. Now, the illegal migration bill is going to get royal assent, but we're going to talk about that as well. We have a reaction from the Liberal Democrats, obviously. Because everybody really cares about what the Lib Dems say, right? Yeah, of course. They said, this is a disappointing set of losses. We did everything we could to stop this bill and fought to the bitter end. Oh yeah, to defend the rights for vulnerable and desperate people who arrive in this country to seek safe refuge from France. Yes, France is a conflict zone. They're so vulnerable in France. So they're not happy about it, but it doesn't matter because King Charles is going to be giving royal assent and confirming this bill before Friday. This is also impressive. So they wanted to get it done before the summer recess. Now it's happened. Now the bill was going to be watered down, and everybody was worried about it. So luckily that's not happening. But at the same time, there has already been concessions made by the Home Office. So this illegal migration bill is not going to solve everything. We know that. The main question remains, are we going to be talking about ECHR or not? Because somehow the government are not really, they don't have the appetite. Suella Braverman wants to leave ECHR, Downing Street tell her to shut up, and Jeremy Hunt wins. That's usually how it works. But we are going to continue pushing and pushing. So there's this barge as well that's going to Dorset, and the BB Stockholm, and more than 93 meters long and 3 stories high. It will house only up to 506 people. It originally had gym, bar, restaurants, and games room, but now they're going to turn everything into rooms. And therefore, male-only asylum seekers, they say, male-only, which should not be a problem considering the majority of them are men anyway. it will stay for about 3 to 6 months. So I love how the government thought this could be sold as one of the big solutions. It's not. It's such a temporary and short-term plaster. But now, today, as we speak, there is a massive protest. Oh no, there's not a massive protest. There are two massive protests from right-wingers and left-wingers in Dorset over this barge. So you have the classic refugees are welcome here group kicking off about it, saying, "How dare you? How dare you putting them on a barge?" Then we've got right wingers in the area and nationalists who are also angry, saying, "Don't bring him into our local area." So basically, Rishi Sunak and his government managed to anger all sides. So what's that saying? If you stand in the middle of the road, you get hit by both sides. That's what's happening. But they're not even standing in the middle of the road. They're just not even on the road. It's a complete chaotic story for Rishi Sunak as usual. Now we're going to remain objective on this issue. We're going to keep updating you as we find out more information about the barge and what the Home Office are going to be doing medium to long term. Don't forget, we are going to have our 300,000 subscribers party this Friday, as the royal assent happens for the illegal migration bill. And we're going to have special guests, including, hopefully, Andrew Bridgen, who's going to be joining us as well. If you want to come and see Andrew Bridgen and that idiot, Mahyar Tousi, then book your tickets immediately. The link is in the description. I'm Mahyar Tousi, and we are the media.